At 1:13 in the morning, Noah Reed stared at a red error message in the center of his laptop screen. The volunteer request form had failed again. He knew where the problem was. A connection between two screens had broken after his last update. It was probably fixable. 20 minutes, perhaps 30. Instead, Noah closed the program. He created a new folder on his desktop and named it neighborly_rebuild_final. Then he opened a blank design file, selected a cleaner shade of blue, and began drawing a new logo. The relief arrived almost immediately. Behind the new folder sat dozens of older ones. Portfolio_new. Studio launch_2. Fitness brand_final. Better version. Each had begun with the same excitement. Each had ended when excitement was no longer enough. Noah leaned back, satisfied with the empty page in front of him. Then his phone lit up. A local news notification showed a young woman standing beside a projection screen. Lena Ortiz launches volunteer app across 3 Chicago neighborhoods. The interface behind her looked plain. It also looked familiar. Noah had always been known as the talented one. In college, classmates gathered around his desk whenever he presented a new concept. His professors praised his instincts. Friends asked when he planned to open his own design studio.
And that's how we'll make it
He
simple,
always had an answer.
accessible, and impactful.
After graduation, he would launch an agency. Then he would build an education platform. Then a fitness brand. Then a neighborhood app. For the first few days of every project, Noah worked with astonishing focus. He ordered notebooks, chose typefaces, created logos, and described the idea as if its success had already been decided. But eventually, the interesting choices ran out. A logo needed 12 small corrections. A form needed testing. A client wanted changes that made the work less elegant. A feature that seemed brilliant in his head looked ordinary on a real screen. That was usually when Noah discovered a better direction. 11 months after graduation, his apartment was crowded with the remains of those better directions. An unopened camera rested beside an unused drawing tablet. 5 business ideas covered a whiteboard, each crossed out beneath a newer one. His savings had almost disappeared. Freelance work came less often because clients had begun asking to see completed projects. Noah still told people he was preparing for something bigger. He opened Lena's app. Its original idea had come from a college assignment they had developed together. Residents could post simple requests, and nearby volunteers could offer help. Groceries. Prescription pickups. Small repairs. Noah had designed the first version. Then he decided the concept was too basic and moved on. Lena had stayed. 2 days later, Noah attended her launch event at a neighborhood library. The app was not beautiful. The colors were safe. Some of the icons looked slightly uneven. One page took too long to load. But people were using it. An older man found a student willing to collect his medication. A mother offered to deliver groceries after work. A city employee asked Lena whether the system could expand into 2 more neighborhoods. Noah watched from the back of the room. Several of Lena's solutions were ones he had rejected months earlier for being too obvious. After the presentation, she crossed the room and hugged him. "I'm glad you came," she said. "You helped start this." Noah glanced at the residents gathered around her laptop. "You launched it like this?" Lena looked confused. "Before it was ready." She followed his gaze to the screen. One of the volunteers was struggling to return to the home page. It was ready enough for them. She smiled, then turned to help. On the train home, Noah opened the abandoned prototype on his laptop. The last edit had been made 8 months earlier. That evening, an email arrived from a design firm where he had applied for a junior position. The hiring manager praised his creativity but said his portfolio contained too few completed projects. Noah read the sentence 3 times. By midnight, he had made a decision. He would build something better than Lena's app. A civic technology showcase was accepting submissions in 6 weeks. The winner would receive funding, mentorship, and a public trial with the city. Noah reopened his old project. For 3 days, he barely left his desk. He rebuilt the home screen, rewrote the mission statement, and covered the wall with diagrams. He told friends the original version had been too narrow. The new one would not merely connect volunteers with residents. It would include local businesses, emergency support, neighborhood events, skill exchanges, and public discussion boards. By the 4th day, the prototype contained more features than Noah could build. The registration page stopped working. The map failed to load. 2 test users could not understand the navigation. Noah did not repair those problems. He changed the audience. Perhaps the app should serve small businesses instead of residents. Perhaps it should become a private social network. Perhaps the real problem was the name. By the end of the week, the project no longer resembled the idea he had entered the showcase to complete. A freelance client called about a logo package Noah had promised 10 days earlier. He watched the phone ring until it stopped. Then he opened a video called **** How to Know When You've Chosen the Wrong Idea ***. Before he pressed play, his own reflection appeared on the dark screen. He had watched a different version of that video during every project he had abandoned. 3 weeks remained before the showcase deadline when Noah asked Lena to review his prototype. She sat at his desk and clicked through it slowly. Every few pages, the design changed. Buttons moved. Fonts shifted. Several features opened into empty screens. "Which version are you submitting?" she asked. "I'm still exploring." Lena opened the project directory. A long column of folders appeared. Neighborly_new. Neighborly_better. Neighborly_rebuild. Neighborly_final. Neighborly_final_2. She looked at him. "Which one works best?" Noah began explaining that each version solved a different problem. Halfway through the explanation, he realized he did not know the answer. He had stopped testing each one as soon as its weaknesses became clear. "You accepted mediocre work," he said. "That's why you finished." Lena closed the laptop. "My first version had 12 users," she said. The second crashed during a community meeting. The third was criticized by almost every volunteer who tested it. Noah had never seen those versions. Lena had not announced them. She stood and pulled on her coat. "You keep protecting the version of yourself that could have made something great." After she left, Noah opened his portfolio website. The homepage looked polished. Beneath almost every project was the same label. "In development." His phone vibrated. The client he had ignored was ending their contract. An hour later, his mother called to confirm that his old bedroom would be ready when his lease expired. When the call ended, Noah looked around the apartment. The camera. The tablet. The notebooks. The whiteboard covered in plans. For years, those objects had made him feel ambitious. Now they looked like evidence. The following morning, Noah began deleting files before the move. Inside the earliest Neighborly folder, he found a screen recording from college. His younger voice explained the simple prototype while Lena tested it beside him. The design was clumsy, but Noah sounded excited. At the end of the recording, Lena asked what they should improve first. "We'll find out when people use it," Noah replied. He replayed the sentence. Before praise had become part of his identity, he had understood something he later trained himself to forget. Work did not become real when it felt brilliant. It became real when it survived contact with other people. Noah opened the newest version of the app. Then he opened the original. The original was smaller, clearer, almost functional. He took a sheet of paper and wrote 3 lines. "No new folder. No new feature. Fix what fails." He taped the page over the whiteboard. Then he called the client he had lost. He apologized without defending himself and without asking for the job back. The apology changed nothing. That was why it mattered. For the next 2 weeks, Noah's work looked unimpressive. He repaired form fields. He rewrote error messages. He aligned buttons no one would notice. He tested the same registration sequence again and again. When the map failed, he did not redesign the app. He replaced it with a simple list of neighborhoods. When a volunteer misunderstood a category, he changed 3 words instead of changing the entire concept. He invited 3 residents from Lena's launch event to test the prototype. They found problems he had missed. Noah wrote down every criticism. After they left, he sat alone at his desk. The app was not revolutionary. Some of its ugliest weaknesses were his responsibility. Finishing it would not prove that he had been exceptional all along. The next morning, he opened the same folder. 1 week before the deadline, the app worked from beginning to end. On submission night, Noah uploaded it to the showcase portal. The preview image looked plain. One icon was too large. A transition felt slow. His cursor moved toward Cancel Upload. Then he opened a new folder window. The empty name field waited. Noah began typing. Neighborly_final_ebuild. He stopped after the last letter. The upload continued behind the window. For several seconds, he stared at the name. Then he closed the empty folder and returned to the submission page. The progress bar reached 100%. A confirmation email arrived at 11:47 p.m. There was no applause. His apartment remained half-packed. His bank balance remained low. He still had to move back home. But the project no longer lived entirely inside his imagination. Other people could judge it now. They could reject it. They could also use it. 2 weeks later, the showcase results arrived. Noah had not won. His project had been accepted into a smaller community pilot. Beneath the decision was a page of recommended changes. He read the feedback once. Then he opened the project folder. His cursor rested over the option to create a new one. Behind the open window, the abandoned folder still covered his desktop. Noah selected the first recommendation and returned to the existing file. Morning light moved across the desk. The old folders remained where they were. He simply stopped adding to them.